I want to call to order the February 19th, 2026 meeting of the Beacon City School District Board of Education. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Vicki, can you call the roll?
Ms. Buscemi?
Here.
Ms. Urson?
Delayed.
Mr. Lewine?
Here.
Ms. McNair?
Here.
Mr. Shatter?
Excused.
Ms. Hewer?
Here.
Ms. Stadler?
Here. Matt, can you review the fire exits?
Exits are in the back of the LGI.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn to executive session to review the employment history of a particular individual? The board plans to return in 30 minutes.
So moved.
Yvonne, second.
Second.
Second. Chris, comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. We will be back.
are back. We'll start with open to the public. It doesn't look like anybody is here. So we will move on to our workshops. Our first workshop tonight is a presentation on Glenham Elementary from Principal Orser. If you would like to come to the podium.
Hello, I am Cassandra Orser, building principal at Glenham. I say this every year, but I do really love putting together this presentation and doing the presentation tonight because now that we have our building leadership teams, I think that that makes it more fun because people actually know that we do the presentations, where I feel like before they did not. But then they also are like, oh, what about this? Oh, you should put that. And I'm like, at some point, I have to tell you to stop sending me stuff to put into the presentation. It's, and it's fun. It's all fun stuff. And one of the teachers said today that she's like, we have so much fun here. And I was like, we do. We actually do. So it's nice to have it all together in a presentation. So just to begin, at Glenham this year, we have about 430 students. 93 of those students are either in CPSE or CSE, and then there are 12 students with 504s. The 100th day of school was today, so snap these real quick this morning as kids were coming in. Some of our friends were dressed up as 100-year-olds, and then you can see the kindergarten class had an investigation. They were all dressed up like detectives today, and they had you can see in the picture, they had their little badges, and they did investigative work in centers between the 3 kindergarten classrooms. Moving into academic excellence and high quality curriculum. A lot of this is going to be a little repetitive from the other presentations, but obviously a continuation with HMH. In grades 3 through 5, we've extended it into K2. Foundations is now extended into 3rd grade. The picture on the top right is Elaine Morgan. She's one of my fabulous 3rd grade teachers and is so happy to have foundations in 3rd grade. We also have Science 21, Ready Math still, and then iReady, which we're using very regularly. Responsive classroom practices where we're doing morning meetings, the quiet time after lunch, and then the closing circles at the end of the day. New this year, the Renegades reached out to us, and they are doing a most improved student, and they have each teacher in the building choosing a student who is most improved, and then they're going to give them a ticket and recognize them at a game, which I thought was really fun. And a nice community organization to work with. We usually do like the STEM day at Renegade Stadium with the upper grades in the springtime. So this was a nice, other idea that they had to work with them. We also, our literacy committee started a reading incentive and just to work with 100 charts. All the classrooms got 100 charts, and then pre-K to 2nd, so far, the last stats that we got have read 4,700 books. So this is reading that they're doing, and then they're coming in and they're coloring in a block on the 100 chart. 3rd through 5th grade has read 20,200 chapters because they are in chapter books. And you can see the top teachers, Master Antuano's pre-K to 2, and then Mr. Cesark's in the 3 to 5. And then the winning classes get to choose a community experience. So we also started talking as a building leadership team and with AIS and our new coaching positions about ways to incorporate Tier 2 vocabulary for all grades. So on our morning news show, you can see the bulletin board there on the left, has all Tier 2 vocabulary words, and that's just academic vocabulary. So on the morning news, at the beginning of the week, they introduce the word. They provide a definition the next day, usually like a yes or a no question. and then they use it in a sentence that usually there's like a blank in. They use the word, but then the kids can fill in the sentence. That way, everybody in the building is being exposed to the academic vocabulary. Our instructional support team, we are having monthly meetings. They're about every 6 weeks. There's 24 sections in Glenham. So what we've been trying to do is just at every day, or most days during the week, at 2:30, right at the end of the day, we've been having the meetings, 2:30 to like 3:15, 3:30. And we just do one meeting with that teacher and review all of their students. So then we have it on a 6-week rotation. That way, whatever interventions are being done in the classroom or progress monitoring, we already have it planned to meet 6 weeks later to review academic data. I just added in that we have additional coaches, and I think I mentioned this later in the presentation. And we're also getting Tier 3 support from teaching assistants and certified subs. So we made a schedule. Really, I put it out to teachers about center teaching and just when their instructional blocks were for ELA and math. And if they needed additional support, if we have one of the building subs available or the AIS teaching assistants, there's one for ELA and for math, we created a schedule where they can push into the classroom to support that group work. And then, this is Mr. Whalen's classroom. So we added a special education teacher this year to redistribute our special classes. He currently has 4th grade where there's 8 students. The K1 class has 7 students, and then so there's a K1 class with 7, and then there's a 1, 2, 3 that has 11 students. But that's a new classroom setup. And then we'll talk more about the goals. So we are working on fact fluency. We were working on fact fluency last year and using reflex math and other I guess like math practices. Like we have 5th graders that go down to the younger grades to, do like flashcards, things like that, just to work with students on increasing math fluency. So that is still our focus. We are at our benchmarking for middle of year right now. So we don't have a ton of data yet, but by the end of this month, we should. And you'll see in just a little bit, I did pull what I had for the iReady projections. And then just some of the supports that we already have in place is regular consultation with the AIS math teachers. So the AIS teachers are both a part of our IST meetings. So they meet with me and also the related service providers, on a 6-week rotation. The math AIS support moving to full-time this year has been wonderful. And then the push-in with the teaching assistant or pulling students out as necessary has also been a great support. I feel like the rest of this we've already discussed. So we've also continued Positivity Project at Glenham. You can see the bulletin boards there. We also have Kindness is Contagious like certificates. So if a student is really exemplifying one of the character strengths or just going out of their way to be kind to either another student or a grown-up, they'll get a certificate. They get to choose like a little emoji that they can write their name on and hang it in the main office window. And then there's that coloring poster, which everyone seems to really love. But if you get a Kindness is Contagious certificate, you get to color on the poster. I think that's everything there. So these numbers here are our AIS numbers for math and ELA. They are the beginning of year benchmark numbers. So we have recently, in like the past week or two, as we've reviewed updated academic data, been able to dismiss students who are now, if we have all of their benchmarking done, proficient, and are showing that they've made growth enough to no longer require the pull-out services for AIS. So those teachers would still provide classroom interventions and track the, do progress monitoring to track the student data within the classroom. So we'll discuss the student again at the next meeting just to ensure that they're still, able to hold their own. To help reduce AIS numbers and support teachers in implementing Tier 1 instruction, we have had Science of Reading PD with our coach. We had a PD on math centers with the math coach. We also, I was speaking about it a little before, had foundations visits where the coach went around to pre-K through third grade to observe lessons or provide feedback to ensure that we're implementing foundations with fidelity. And then the Tier 3 push-in support has really been helpful and really just providing support to teachers for small group and center time. That picture there is Ms. Vinciguerra and Ms. Parola. They're both first grade teachers. That was a data meeting with myself and Ms. Dinkins. And then the little blurb there on the bottom, to help further decrease our AIS numbers, we hope to have another AIS teacher next year without impacting the current teacher footprint, and then that would also provide for more Tier 3 push-in support. So this was, I believe, as of Friday. There may be more. It's not going to make much of a difference. Currently, it's 183 out of 194 students who completed their assessment. I took the schedule for benchmark assessments and just gave dates of when each assessment would be given so that we could get updated data as soon as possible. So for the ELA, the top bar there is typical growth. So that's just the annual progress that a student would typically make. And then on the bottom there is stretch growth, which is attainable, but it's like more of a far-reaching target for that student. So you can see on the top it says proficient 49%, level 3s and 4s, which means we have 50 who would be in 50% around level 1 and 2. So our conversation as an AIS team is a lot of our AIS is focused on the level 1 and how can we support the level 2s to push them up as well. And I really feel like with the push-in support in the classroom is where we're going to be able to focus on providing those students with more support. For math, the numbers are a little higher there. I do think that the focus on math fact fluency at all grade levels has helped with our math just proficiency. So you can see the top is 60%, a lot of level 3s there, and then the stretch growth would be almost 70%. And this data could change. There's only 175 out of 194 at the time of students who took the assessment. So moving on to experiences, this is one of my favorite parts with lots of fun pictures. So we have our annual STEAM fair coming up. That's on March 26th. We did our welcome back dance. I don't think there's any pictures up there, but that's always 4th and 5th grade at the beginning of the year. We had a Veterans Day assembly this year. Mad Science is coming. And we did Central Hudson, the energy conservation. We still are doing garden time with Land to Learn. There's a really great picture towards the end of the slideshow of our garden. And then we love a good spirit day. I feel like we do spirit days for all of the things. So we had a spirit day where red for heart health. We did pink in October for breast cancer awareness. We have a friend at Glenham with cerebral palsy. So March 25th is wear green. We also have a friend with Down syndrome. So we always do mismatched socks on World Down Syndrome Day. And then coming up at the end, or at the beginning of March is it's like a rite of passage. The 5th grade get to choose a spirit week. So they've chosen, and that'll be coming out soon. And they always pick everything but a backpack, which is so complicated in elementary school, but it's fun. So new club additions this year, we have, I have to think about this. We have a cooking club. So Common Ground with our 5th grade made a cookbook, and now they're going to do a cooking club and make the recipes. So that'll be really fun. That's starting, I think, next week. We also had a cheer club, which was new to us this year, and then we did one of the other new clubs was Pages to Projects, where they read a book and then did a craft that went along with the book. In addition to all of the other, like Get Fit and Running Club and Chess Club and STEAM Club, and I feel like there's always a ton of kids from like 7:30 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon. Lots of club participation. The morning news show is something that we have continued, and I have promised Miss Peterson that through her retirement, she will have the morning news show. She started it at Glenham. She's super proud of it, as she should be. It's just where we do the pledge, birthdays. Usually the announcement of whether recess is indoors or outdoors is on there, so you know when people are watching the morning news, because the kids cheer when recess is outside. Recently, they've done all of like the Olympic updates and sports. They do a joke on the morning news on Wacky Wednesday. And the students 100% run the news show, whether they're in front of the camera or behind the camera. They do it all, and Miss Peterson really just oversees it. And then the crews are on for 10 weeks, and then they train the incoming crew. And then there on the bottom, the winter door decorating contest has really become exciting at Glenham. The kids love participating and creating artwork to put up, and then we always have like a time where we can go around the building and they can check out everyone else's doors and then vote on the best door. And pre-K won this year. Oh, speaking to Spirit Days, 50s, dressed like the 50s on the 50th day of school. And then some field trip pictures and Halloween, STEAM Club, and then the bottom picture, on a fun Friday, these girls made me a friendship bracelet together. So they came in just like that, all holding a piece of it to hand it off. Fire Prevention Day is another, it's one of the favorite days at Glenham. It's a full day with lots of, I think there was like 8 fire departments that came this year, and we do the fire truck parade and the smokehouse. And Slater Chemical is phenomenal at really organizing and running the day. The kids really connect with the firefighters, which is nice, and they end up offering like a lot of different opportunities for the Glenham community. So they just connected with us about doing like a movie night at the firehouse, and so it's just a nice, connection in the community. The talent show for 4th and 5th grade is coming up in March. Again, the district art show and the book bash are coming up. And then I listed some field trips there. I don't know that it's like an all-encompassing list, but we did go to Marist this year, which was new with 5th grade. And then, the DIA partnership in 2nd grade. Swimming at Beacon High School is always a fun part of the year. This year we went bowling with PE. I had a couple grade levels go to the Bardavon for plays, which pre-K always tries to go every year for the Nutcracker, which I love, and all the kids come in all dressed up to go see the Nutcrackers. And then 3rd grade is going to Baldwin Park this year for maple sugaring. And then I think almost every grade level is at Stony Kill at some point during the year. And then we had lots of grade levels go apple and pumpkin picking this year. So we have an environmental club at Glenham, which includes students, but then we also have a recycling and garden committee, which is comprised of teaching staff. So in the spring, when we have all the tulips come up, that's actually a group of teachers that went out and planted all of the tulips, which is beautiful. The middle picture there is some kiddos doing the schoolyard cleanup, and then we got new planters in the front of the building. And then that picture on the far right is the one of the garden that I was talking about. That's so beautiful. And then for facilities and capital project update, we do have cubbies installed and unit ventilators. A lot of that work is in progress, but close to being complete. Culture of care. So like I mentioned before, we have continued with the Positivity Project. The building leadership team has really been instrumental in supporting teachers with the Positivity Project, creating, I don't want to say like cheat sheets, but like finding the materials and sending them out, and coming up with ideas that we can do as a building. They also have supported with all of our there's a slide coming up with like our Veterans Day breakfast, and then they have some more plans I'll talk about in another slide. Moving down from there, holiday and cultural education and celebrations. So every month through building leadership, there is a lot of just book options and video options that are sent out to staff at each grade level specific to the student's age. To make it appropriate. And then we also love when we have families come in. There's a picture on the bottom here of one of my first grade friends. His mom came in for Lunar New Year. But any opportunity to invite families in to teach us about their traditions and cultures, we absolutely love. Student Council this year has done a lot for the community. They were doing a shoe drive right now. They did a cereal drive where we did cereal dominoes through the hallways. I can't remember it offhand. It was like 400 boxes of cereal that we ended up collecting and being able to donate. They have a blood drive coming up, and then they are always jumping in to help with like recycling, or if we needed like a public service announcement on the morning news, or anything that they can hop in for. We do have continued use of flexible seating and settings. We did get a grant through the foundation. Mary Angeli Hernandez is my school psych, and she created, I should have taken a picture and I didn't, she's created wonderful spaces in several classrooms where there's like nice like enclosures, like tent enclosures for students to go in, with lots of different, calming tools, and just creating more inclusive spaces all around the building. She also created like sort of like go boxes with like fidgets and different things in them. So if there's a student who's in need, you can grab a go box and respond and hopefully be able to de-escalate and turn their day around. We also have high school helpers who are coming down from the life skills class at the high school who do work for some of the teachers. They help like cut out things and make copies, and sometimes they help clean and just do different jobs around the building. And then, the other picture there on top, the top right is Mary Angeli Hernandez, my school psych. She was being interviewed there for Hispanic Heritage Month. And then the top left there is the picture at the breast cancer run. And then there's a pre-K student on the sensory path. And then that bottom right picture is cereal boxes. Lots and lots of cereal boxes. So a lot of these pictures are from the Veterans Day breakfast. We had a great turnout. We just sent something home with families just to say if you have a veteran or you know a veteran that would like to come with your child. And we had a lot of parents and grandparents and neighbors. So it was something that we had done before COVID, and then we finally got back to it this year, and it was wonderful. We had students from every grade level participate, either making cards and handing them out, or like pre-K and K came and sang. Some of our band students performed. And then that was like the crew at the student crew on the bottom there, the fifth graders, that helped out with all of the speaking parts of the event. And then on the left, I just included some of our friends. I think that's actually MTA police officers. They came to do our lockdown drill, but we started talking with them, and they really want to come back and do an event in the school with like community helpers. So we started kicking ideas around, and we're going to do a community helper, like a recognition day. We're planning for May, hoping that the weather will be warmer then, and we could do something outside, and just invite, a lot of our curriculum is about community helpers, especially in the lower grades. So being able to invite those helpers to the school so that the kids can actually see them and maybe enjoy a snack with them. And then PTO collaboration, so the middle picture there on the bottom, this is now I think the third or fourth year that we've had the laser light show. It is always a hit. It's basically like a laser light sing-along because there's so many catchy songs that all of the kids know. And this year it was focused around kindness. The two pictures on the right there are from our trunk or treat, which we estimated we had about 700 to 800 people there. Our neighbors weren't thrilled, but it was really fun. And we had so many trunks this year. The picture on the top right is Miss Mashrantuano and Miss Frazita, two teachers there. And there was probably, 10 teachers or so who had trunks at the event. PTO also coordinated the paint and sip on the top left. It was a hot cocoa paint and sip, and then a hot cocoa cart and a snack before winter break with Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. And then tomorrow night we have Binglo, which is our black light bingo. And then at the end of the year, we started last year with doing a big family barbecue. So last year was a carnival theme, and this year I believe is going to be a luau. So another event that's really well attended, and I was in a dunk tank, so that was a lot of fun. And that's everything.
Well, thank you so much. One thing that jumped out at me here that I wanted to say that I really appreciate is the goal of fact fluency and the social emotional learning goal. I really appreciate the specificity of it and you sort of laying out, what the goal is and how you plan on getting there. Like that's super, super helpful. It kind of tells a broader story, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did anybody have any questions or comments?
Just a quick comment, a couple of quick comments. Cassandra mentioned next year having another AIS teacher. So one of the things, the current plan is that we're using existing staff to do that. But one of the things we're trying to reckon with for next year in the budget is just that Glenham has, roughly 50% more students than the other three elementary schools. And it isn't always staffed that way. And so we just want to make sure for certain things it totally is. But some things we just want to make sure that we're staffing in like an equitable manner across the elementary schools. So that's one thing. That's one part of it we'll be working on. When we get into March and April's budget presentations, if we go a little bit further with that will be part of that. And then I just want to say from my perspective, two things. One, I'm not going to do the letter justice, but Cassandra got a letter from a family where the grandfather, who's a veteran, came to the Veterans Day breakfast, and just how much it meant to the grandfather, and what just an incredible experience. it was. And so I think Lenham just has like a number of these kind of community gatherings, which has that impact. And I also just want to highlight Cassandra's just really an inclusive leader in lots of different ways, but you can just feel it in the building and how she interacts with all the kids, how staff does, and just like it's a cool thing to see. So I just wanted to say thanks for leading that way every day.
The teachers and staff that make it that way, students.
All right. Well, thank you so much. A lot of good stuff happening.
Great stuff.
All right. So next up, we are having a presentation on the tax cap and pre-K funding.
Thanks, Will. I can start at the end, right? Okay, now I'm lost. I'm lost. I'm sorry. Oh, it's, okay. Okay. I just wanted to do two quick updates. The tax cap calculation is due to the state next week. So we had talked a little bit about it at our retreat, and I wanted to just give you a little bit of an update. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about the Universal Pre-K program and what that means for us going forward and how it will help us in our budgeting process. And I'm sorry, this is small, so I cut and paste on slides is a little bit challenging. So our estimated tax cap calculation looks a little different than what we had spoken about before. We talked again about the tax-based growth factor, which is a little bit less than it was last year, and that basically is a factor given by the state to represent the building and the new properties in your area. Okay, so it's still higher than the other school districts in Dutchess County, but it is a little bit lower than it has been. The allowable growth factor again is the lower of 2% or CPI, Consumer Price Index, which the Consumer Price Index is higher, so we're at 2%. And the only other difference is the capital exclusion. So that number is a little bit higher than what we had talked about originally, and I want to explain why. So I met with our financial advisors just to make sure. The capital exclusion last year, when we did the capital exclusion, and our cap was a little bit higher, we were starting to build in the debt for our $49 million project. And when we went out to the public, we explained to them that it would have a tax impact. And we did some estimates and we tried to explain all that to them and everyone was clear, which the financial advisors reminded me that was the first step. The second step is trying then to make the debt, to increase the debt every year in your budget. And so that becomes a reflection of the capital exclusion. So last year, we tried to build the debt over 3 years. Last year, we did a third. Mm-hmm. We realized that the capital project will probably take more like 4 years to complete. So we decided to take the remaining 2/3 of the debt that we need to increase, and we're going to spread it back out now over 3 years instead of the next 2 years, right, to take the 2/3. So originally when I did the calculation, that number wasn't sufficient. We wanted to make sure that we had enough debt in there over the next 4 years. So that capital exclusion number is higher than what we talked about previously as an estimate. The result of that is that the levy increase will increase, which means the budget will be higher to make sure that it absorbs the new debt that's going to be into the budget. And the percentage increase is at 4.4%. Which is a little more than what we initially thought, but less than last year. I do want to mention also that last year we decided not to do a bus proposition because we were asking for a higher levy. We are doing a bus proposition this year, but as you remember, we do finance the buses over 5 years, so the interest and the principal payments will be in the budget. It won't be in addition to. So the 4.4% tax levy increase will encompass the financing of the buses as we go out for the bus proposition as well. So it's a little different. I didn't want anyone to be surprised. I wanted to explain that to the board. And then obviously we'll be doing some explaining to the public as we go forward. We will be seeing, so now we've spread it out. We're going to have another 2 years of the 2/3 of the increase going forward. So we have another 2 years of impact to make sure that the budget is high enough to substantiate the debt that's going to be associated with it.
Remind me of the timeline for the board adopting the tax rate for the ballot?
So the board has to approve the budget
Yeah,
piece. The tax cap is calculated, has to be submitted to the state by March 1st. It can be amended after the fact.
okay,
But by the time the budget is passed, it has to be adopted before the end of April.
Yeah.
Our thought is that we're going to try to bring it at the beginning of April to the board to approve before it has to, the property tax report card has to be approved by the end of April. So we do have a little bit of time. This will be the calculation that, that I put forward. The only change to this for next week is some of the pilot information is still not 100%. I believe from what I'm being told that this will be what the pilots are, that we are not getting a new pilot on this year, that it would be next year's impact from Marabou Spa. So that would be the only difference, and it's not significant, so.
so just a couple of communication things. This will be coming out in the next week or so, but we're going to do just an overview of like everything that's coming with the capital project. We'll do some reminding of folks that, it did have a budget or continues to have a budget impact, but there's a lot of positives coming from it. And then the other thing with the tax cap that we'll, spend time reminding people this summer is like how our actual like tax rate and tax and just general taxes that homeowners pay, how they compare with our neighbors, because that's sometimes the comparing that goes on is just the rate between districts. We've talked about that before, and so it's not always the best. In fact, it's in some sense it's kind of a meaningless way to compare districts.
When we've talked about, we always look at Wappingers and Fishkill, but we've talked about looking south of here as a,
Yes.
I think that would be really great.
So Frontline is actually bought Forecast 5, and they have, we use them for other things. There was an add-on that we just got the end of last week that gives us a lot more comparative data. So I will be able to access a lot more data than just trying to go on the website and try to figure out what their tax rate is or what their taxes are in a lot of different ways. So I thought it would be a really helpful tool budget-wise for that purpose and for a lot of other purposes, how we compare to other districts and what we provide and how our taxes are less than other places. So I have a meeting with them on Monday afternoon just to utilize it, how to utilize it the best way to print the right reports to show first the board and then the public. Okay.
And that will also be part, we're working on putting the budget FAQs together on the website, so that will be part of that too.
Oh, great.
Yep. It doesn't want to move. Hold on. I'm going to try one more time. It just doesn't want, that's okay. I will move down here. Okay. I will make it move. Okay. And again, we just talked about these three things. So we just talked about the tax-based growth factor, the allowable growth factor of 2%, and the capital project debt. Those are the three major things that go into the actual calculation of the tax cap.
And just to reiterate, the first two things are things we have
We do
no
not have any
over,
control over,
which is important to remember. Okay.
which would be great when I put that on the FAQs. I will make sure I put that in there. Okay. Okay, I only have one more slide, so this is good. Hold on. Okay, universal pre-K. So we're going to be talking a lot about this, but I just kind of want to keep reminding everyone. In the governor's budget this year, UPK funding definitely increased. So in Beacon, we've been providing a very robust pre-K program. We're providing full day. We haven't been able to accommodate everyone, but we do utilize our community-based organizations. As part of the Universal Pre-K grant, you must put 10% of your total grant out into the public. We did put out a request for proposal to see if there are any new people that want to be interested in the program, and we're in the process of going to start reviewing that to see. But the major part of this is we provide the program, the general fund was paying, a portion for it, about $450,000. And with this additional funding, we can actually utilize that extra money to pay for the pre-K program that we currently have, which is fantastic. Yeah. Why is that so great and wonderful is because that $450,000 can go to other things in the general fund. So that's what's really exciting about it. Other districts are not as excited about it because they're providing half-day programs. Some of them are not providing them in their school buildings. They are taking the pre-K money and they are putting it all out to the community-based organizations. And the reason that they're not thrilled about it is in 2028-29, in the governor's proposal, the districts must provide full-day pre-K to all students that are interested. So for us, that would mean having to look to see how many people were on the wait list that did not get in, and that would be a concession, but we would not have to change our program, where other districts have a lot more space issues. We do not have space issues right now, so it's a pleasant thing for us, not for everybody else. But the financial impact is huge for us, and we're looking forward to utilizing that money in a different way in the general fund when we come to you about the budget. So I just kind of wanted to put it out there. Okay. And that's really it.
Can I ask a question about that? So
Sure.
next year, do we plan to increase seats? Like, will there still be a wait list, or would this extra money allow us to offer pre-K to everyone who wanted it?
To be honest with you, I think it's probably a conversation in conjunction with the general fund to see what the impact of the $450,000 was. We had very few people on the wait list that did not get in. I would say maybe 5 in total. We just had the registrar do that calculation. So that's also why we went out for an RFP for the CBOs to see if, because we're not getting a lot of funds, we were trying to keep all of the students in district as much so we could utilize that money. And it's not that we don't want the money, but we have other options now getting the additional funding. So that would be a discussion. It will also, we are planning to put out, to start registration process around the 13th of March. We're going to open the portal. This way we get to see how many people want it. It's interesting too because this year we had a wait list. The year before we absolutely did not have a wait list. And I think it's just about the number of children there are in that age group. And the year before that we had a wait list. So we don't know yet. Never know. But I think that's a great question, and we could probably tell you more as we start the process for pre-K.
Yeah.
So I have like a dumb question about it. So the year that we're required to offer it to anyone who wants it, if that number increased, I think typically when we started full day, we've been probably enrolling about 60 to 70% of the kids who end up in kindergarten, something like that. But let's say more people, because of it's in the news and all that, more people enroll. So the state would reimburse us for every single student?
Yes.
Okay.
Now there's more of a limit on how many you can have. So that's like a huge transition going forward. So we've always kind of stayed within a certain amount. And then we utilize what the children that went to CBOs. But now you're getting an increase in funding. But for every child you take in, you get more money. The question is, does that start in 26 in this current year budget, or does it start in 28, 29?
Okay.
I don't know the
When we
answer
start
yet.
the enrollment process, we'll update the board about, whether we feel like we can take care of every family that's interested or not. I mean, we
Right.
come really darn close every year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I'm sure there are trade-offs, but I would love, especially with the extra money, like
Right.
to be able to help every family one and also get them connected before kindergarten and get them excited. So
Right, right.
If we were able to do that, that would be exciting.
Yeah.
I had a quick question. if you
yeah.
don't mind. Yeah. I dropped the ball when you were talking about the RFP. What are we requesting proposals for?
For community-based organizations.
I see.
So right now, we have two. We have Rose Hill Manor and we have New Covenant. And it's not that I want to replace them, it's just a process that we really should go out there. We did have two other childcare early learning centers that were interested. So we wanted to kind of see, there's criteria. You have to have a certified teacher. There's curriculum. Cassandra oversees the pre-K program. So, she does more of the academic side of it. But we wanted to see in the community who was interested in having the program. We always like to know, because if we were going to do something different, before we knew we were getting extra funding, we always want to have a safety net that if we can't run as many programs in district for some reason, we want to be able to offer it on the outside. And we're not, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know that Rose Hill is thinking of doing something different in the future. So we're just trying to cover our bases.
Because 10% of the UPK money
Must go.
must go to a
Yes.
CBO.
One last logistics question for me. So you said March 13th, the registration opens. Do we know, is there a date by which families would know if they have a seat
Yes.
available?
So we
What's-
usually
when does
keep
that
it
happen?
open 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Well, it's open, until forever.
Right.
Until September, but we usually, I think it was like the beginning of, or maybe mid-April, we pull whoever's already enrolled, and then that's when we do, like if we have to do a lottery, that's when we would do it.
Right. But we'll know if we have to do a lottery. So that 1 year that we did not have to do a lottery, we knew that we could accommodate all of the children that had registered.
By mid-April or so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thanks.
The tricky part becomes them not going to their home school because we only have certain, so that becomes the tricky part. They do return in kindergarten if we displace them, but that's where it gets a little bit dicey for the environment.
Does it get dicey because people are not happy with that?
People would rather stay in their home school. It's because pre-K is a different program than school age at kindergarten through 5. It's a little different. We can't offer, we offer two at Glenham, but we even have Glenham students that are displaced to other elementary schools. It's kind of what you know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's, and this isn't. I'm not trying to go super deep on this, but I'm not sure there's really anywhere that. I mean, I'm just kind of guessing, but any district that offers pre-K perfectly in like the elementary school that your child will end up going to. Most districts, you're moving quite a bit for pre-K, so it's a hard one for us because we really do try to line up most kids with the elementary school they're going to be at, and we probably do it more than most places, and it's just one of those things. It's like it just doesn't work perfectly just with space and numbers, and also just the number of students in pre-K is different than the number of kids in kindergarten. So it just doesn't work like it does for K through 5. But
Right.
we'll always continue to meet people's needs. It's just that part can be a challenge. But
I will say the parents are very happy with the pre-K program. We do not have to provide transportation. We let them ride the bus with their siblings, which is huge. And they do get specials, which a lot of districts do not. They don't let them participate in the breakfast program. They don't get specials. They're treated like, all of the rest of our kindergarten and up students. So we're really proud of what we can do with it. So we're very patient with the parents that we have to displace, and we explain to them, and we've already done the process. We keep track of where they're supposed to go, and we automatically earmark them for the kindergarten that's in their home school.
I'm really excited about this pre-K funding, and I just want to say, as a parent, like I didn't realize how lucky I was to have my kids here and have that experience until I started talking to other districts and realizing that this is actually a really unique setup that we have, and that I think, before your kid is in school, you just assume that it's something that every district offers. And to realize that it's not, and it's a program that we have been building is it really, I'm really proud of what we've done. And I have heard districts being like, I don't know how we're going to do this now. And it kind of reminds me of like how we got the Chromebooks like right before COVID, and how we had like the student board members before it became a law. And it's like all of this sort of forward thinking stuff that we do is super, it's super meaningful, and it's cool to see the state catching up. So yeah. Did anybody else have any comments or questions?
Thank you.
Bless you.
more to
Thank you.
come.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to superintendent's report. Matt?
I just have some quick updates. I just want to start with a few thank yous to the Beacon High School PTO and the Rombout Middle School PTO. They kind of co-hosted the Harlem Wizards game last Friday, and it just, so, I was involved as the quote unquote coach of the Beacon Heartbreakers, but when you're there and you just see the full extent of the number of volunteers running that whole event, like from high school students all the way through dozens of parents and community members, it's quite a thing. And so it was a really fun night, and I just wanted to say thank you to the folks who very quietly kind of organized all that and put that together. It's a nice way to gather, and just want to give another kind of thank you shout out to, we had a program for 3rd through 12th graders just yesterday, the Blues and Beyond, and we don't always have high school students like attend the same assembly that like the other kids do, but they were probably the most into it, and kids were really into it. It took some really talented musicians just basically kind of walk kids through the history of Black music in our country's history by playing a lot of songs and talking kind of briefly about each genre or artist. And the effect has even arrived on the home shores for me, in that I oftentimes give the music playing over to my son in the car, and I was treated with quite a Motown playlist just this afternoon. So that's great for me. I was super happy, and he was like kind of explaining the songs and everything. I happened to walk in and watch the middle schoolers in the performance, and they were like singing along to half the songs. It was just really cool. I never know what to expect with the big assemblies, and this one just really worked well. And we did an evening one, and I think a lot of the littler kids came. I wasn't able to come, and Brian Solter set that all up, so thanks to him. Just a couple board things. March 9th, because we have a lot of things we're presenting, we're probably just gonna share these briefly with the board and let you kind of go through them and talk about them over the next few board meetings. But we're going to do some brief progress reports on all the goals we laid out at the beginning of the year and submit those to you in writing. I'm going to move commendations to March 23rd just because I've gotten a little delayed. But we try to do that before the board meeting, like at 6 o'clock. And so I'll send out the nominations thing tomorrow or Saturday. And it's just a great, if board members are able to come, I'll send you reminders. It's a great way. We usually get students, staff, sometimes community members. It's really usually a really cool mix of people, and it's a kind of a nice celebration of, in many regards, some of the unsung heroes of what we do every day. So we're targeting that day. And then lastly, I don't know, we could do this over email, but apologize about having to cancel Finance Committee last night. Next week is blocked out for me. I can't do evenings next week, but after that, we can do anything. So if we want to talk about that tonight or just do it over email, either way, it's fine. And that's
I think
it.
there were
Thank you.
some things we were going to talk about that were timely. Does that, like an exemption, senior?
The exemption, we dug into it a little bit more. It would make sense for us to do it this year, correct?
There were a couple of options with the senior exemption, so it's a little more complicated going forward. And there was some law that we just got the legal firm that talked about the disability, so it would be something we talk about and have it done before next March 1st.
Thanks.
It's the senior exemption changes for the people who are, is it for the people who already qualify? They get a larger exemption.
Yes.
So it doesn't change like the number of seniors who might qualify, it's just for the ones who already do. Since the law just got passed, when we were not interpreting it correctly at first, there's not many places doing it yet because it just got passed, so the conversation really would make more sense for next year. And I actually think it could be useful for us to just kind of talk through all the exemptions, you know, to see if, because some of them take way more time to research and gather information on than others, and we can kind of look at the different ones to see if for next year we wanted to try to implement any of them. That is solely a board decision, implementing an exemption. It requires a public hearing. I think next year would make more sense to go through. There's a couple others.
There's the, we did years ago, we did the veterans exemption, which is probably sufficient. There's also a veteran disabled, which is the one that Governor Hochul just signed, I guess, on the 13th, that will require districts to do it, so there'll be no choice.
Okay.
So that will have a financial impact as well, so it might be better to do everything all at once.
That was the most pressing thing. We wanted to just discuss a transfer for the capital project.
Yes, which I can talk to the full board before we do the resolution.
Okay.
Okay, is that all from you, Matt?
Yep.
Okay, great. So moving on to board comments, we'll start with Catherine.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And thank you so much for your presentation, both schools and money. And that's all I've got.
All righty. Samra?
Yeah, thanks again for that presentation. I will say the pre-K program is great. My child went to Glenham and loved it. And then we went to another elementary, which was totally fine with me. I was really happy to get a slot.
You'll be our commercial, Sembra.
That's
Like,
right.
They called and said, "Do you want a half day instead of a whole day?" And I was like, "I want to take the whole day." It was fantastic. Thank you. That's all for me.
Okay, great. Chris?
Yeah, same thing. Great hearing about Glenham. No other comments.
All right, Levon?
Same, thank you for the presentations tonight. They were good.
All right. Meredith?
We've got some policies on the agenda for second read, and I wanted to try to reschedule our policy meeting that we're supposed to have today and a PRAL meeting. I'm wondering if March 5th works for people. I guess that would be Levon and Catherine, and then Semra also.
March 5th is fine for me.
Good for me.
What time?
Should we do one at 6 and one at 7? Does that work? Or 7 and 8? It's up to you guys.
Oh, 6 and 7 probably better.
I like your
March 5th.
The DCSBA meeting is that night, but
oh.
I guess I can skip it. And I'll get the presentation, it's fine.
Okay, if you're okay with it.
I mean, if March 5th works for everybody, I'd much rather just get these committee meetings done.
Okay, I could also do the
Works.
second.
Yes,
I could do the second.
I could do the second as well.
March 2nd at
6 and 7, 6,
We could do
7,
later,
as they
you know,
say.
if you want, if later is better for you, because I know you're sometimes.
I'm that's fine on that day. On Monday it's fine.
Okay,
Monday.
Monday, okay, so we're gonna do it on the. Let's do, I don't care. Should we do policy at 6 and prawl at 7? Is that okay?
I think that's usually the.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, so I'm prawl, I think. Yes.
Policy at 6, okay.
Oh, and that's it for me, sorry. And thank you for the great presentation. I think it's really exciting to hear about all
Okay.
the fun stuff, you know. I just feel like it sounds like there's a great environment at all the elementary schools, and it's really wonderful to hear about.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like it's very heartening to see these great spaces that we're creating for children. And it's very heartening to see that we're getting funding for pre-K so that we can keep doing that. I wanted to mention for everyone that we are postponing the discussion on board size until the next meeting. The reason for that is because I've been in conversation with the district attorneys, and I'm waiting to hear back on a couple of things, and I want to make sure I have all of the information from them before we continue that conversation. So we will continue that at the next meeting. And I just wanted to mention about the Blues and Beyond presentation that my middle schooler and my high schooler saw it, and they never, it's always like, how's your day? Fine. What'd you do? Nothing. But then about this, they were so excited and into it and explaining the music and just talking about like how the program was integrated and how it progressed, and it really left an impression. So that was a great experience for them, and I am glad that they got to have it. So,
One thing, can I say one thing?
no, you're done.
Sorry, tonight, there was a meeting, the NYCLU, talking about different ways to protect immigrant students and their right to attend school, which of course I could not be at because I'm here. But I was forwarded a potential policy that I'll share with the rest of the board, and maybe we can talk about it at the policy committee level and decide, how we can talk about it at the board level. But I just wanted to let everyone know about that.
That's great. Okay. Reviewing the agenda, there's one change in 14.01. The person who is being appointed in the number 2 slot was removed from the agenda for tonight. So, on to the consent agenda. The use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate, and that item will be considered and voted on separately, thus preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. Are there any items that any board members would like to have removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve 12.01 through 15.01?
So moved.
Levon, second.
Second.
Second by Samra. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh,
6.
6. I'm sorry. 6-0. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Meredith, second.
Second.
Second by Chris. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 6-0. Good night.